After 6 years of waiting, One Punch Man Season 3 is finally here. But instead of blowing us away, it kinda left us completely frustrated. The Monster Association arc that we dreamed of, it was rushed. The animation that once set the standard, I'm just not seeing it. And some of the manga's best moments, they were completely cut or just poorly handled. But not everything missed. Episode 7 gave us a glimpse of what this season could have been. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the biggest battles, what worked, what didn't, and whether Season 3 is truly a disappointment or actually an underrated gem. Back in 2015, when One Punch Man Season 1 dropped, Madhouse literally changed the game. Like, set a whole new standard for anime. Every single fight scene was a masterpiece. The camera angles were chef's kiss, and the speed lines just made you feel the motion. Everything was animated so well that every punch felt like it came with its own adrenaline rush. You could just feel Saitama's power through the screen. I mean, it was that good. Then 2019 rolled around and we got Season 2 from JC Staff. Now, the story was still super solid, but the animation quality clearly dropped. Anyone with eyes could see it. Still, fans were hopeful. We told ourselves, it's okay, they're just warming up. Everything's gonna get better in Season 3. Oh, how wrong we were. Now, episodes 1 through 7 of Season 3 have come out, and it proves something painful. The high expectations fans had were brought down to 0 level. We thought JC Staff would take their time to perfect everything, like hire the best animators, and deliver something close to Season 1's god-tier quality.
Are you an idiot?
But JC Staff didn't actually have 6 years to work on this. According to reports from industry insiders, they only had 6 to 8 months of real production time. Yeah, less than a year to animate an entire season of one of the most action-heavy arcs in the manga. It was spent in production hell, with executives making terrible decisions that doomed this season before it even freaking started. So while it's easy for me to blame the studio, the real villains are the higher-ups at Bandai Namco who rushed this project. But that doesn't excuse everything we're about to discuss. Let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about the first major battle that got people talking. Garo versus Overgrown Rover. In the manga, this fight is intense. Rover is a dragon-level threat that can vaporize demon-level monsters with a single energy blast. I mean, these attacks are so powerful that they burn enemies to ash instantly. And Garo, he takes these blasts head-on. This should have been the moment that established how insanely durable Garo has become. It should have shown us that he's evolved into something totally terrifying. But in the anime, the impact feels soft. Yeah, we see some cool visuals with Rover's giant energy blast lighting up the screen. And yeah, Garo gets thrown around like a ragdoll. But the weight just isn't there. When Rover fires those blasts, you should be feeling the heat and destruction. Instead, it kinda looks like someone added some glow effects in Photoshop and called it a day. The backgrounds look pretty decent, I'll give them that, but the actual animation of the fight is mostly still frames with motion blur. And that right there is the problem. It looks okay in screenshots, but when you're actually watching it, it just feels choppy and lifeless. This was supposed to be Garo's warm-up before the real nightmare begins, but it just ended up being a warm-up for our own disappointment. Now we arrive at the fight everyone was waiting for. Garo versus Monster King Orochi. This is the moment from episode 5 that was hyped up by animators on social media. Multiple talented animators, including Van Oba, worked on this episode and even posted countdowns for it. The fans were so hopeful. Like maybe, just maybe, this would turn things around. And to be fair, there were a few awesome moments. Van Oba's cut during the Orochi fight was genuinely one of the best animated sequences of the entire season. It was smooth, dynamic, and actually felt like real animation for once. But here's the problem. That good cut lasted about 10 seconds. The rest of the fight was an absolute mess. Let's describe what happened in the manga versus what we actually got in the anime. In the manga, Orochi is this massive, terrifying creature that looks like a mix between a hydra and a dragon. His body transforms constantly, with tentacles and dragon heads attacking from every direction. He pierces Garo's stomach with his horns. He unleashes fire attacks that look like they could burn entire cities. And when Garo tries to fight back using Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, Orochi copies the technique instantly and uses it better than Garo. It's supposed to be a moment of pure despair where Garo realizes he's completely outmatched. But in the anime, Orochi looks like a lifeless motion, missing every bit of tension the scene deserved. But the transformations lack fluidity. The fire attacks are covered in those annoying rainbow filters that make everything hard to see. Like, stop doing that. And the worst part is that half the fight is just still images. There's a scene where Garo is supposed to be dodging Orochi's tentacles at high speed. In the manga, you can feel the motion and desperation. But in the anime, it literally looks like a child's play. Looking at the scene, you'll notice Garo didn't run down the hill. Instead, he slid, literally like a single panel stretched across the screen. It's kinda lazy, and this should have been one of the most intense fights of the season. Instead, it became the most controversial fight for all the wrong reasons. And now let's talk about Episode 6, the episode that broke records. But not in a good way. Episode 6, titled Motley Heroes, currently holds a 1.4 out of 10 rating on IMDb. That makes it the lowest rated anime episode of all time. Not just the lowest rated One Punch Man episode, the lowest rated anime episode ever. Congratulations, I guess? It even beat out the infamous final episode of The Promised Neverland Season 2. And that's saying something because that episode was freaking terrible. So what exactly made Episode 6 so bad? Simple. Nothing happened in the entire episode. For 24 minutes, we watched the S-Class heroes sit in a room and argue about their plan to raid the Monster Association. There is no action, no character development, and no progression. Just talking. And not even good talking. The dialogue was dry. It was repetitive. Added nothing of value to the story. Amai Mask shows up and starts an argument about not being invited. Some heroes debate who should lead the mission. King appears, but if you watch One Punch Man, you know very well that King is actually really weak. But a lot of these people don't know that. And then the episode ends. That's 24 minutes of our lives we'll never get back. But it gets worse. The animation during these conversations was literally non-existent. Instead of actually animating characters talking, the camera just slides over still images. Imagine watching a manga panel and instead of turning the page, someone just moves the panel around on your screen. That's kinda what watching this felt like. One fan posted a 40-second clip of the protest scene against the Hero Association. 40 seconds of pure still frames with a voiceover. They didn't even animate the lip movements. And you know what? They're absolutely right. This episode is the definition of anime filler. Even though it's adapting canon material, how do you make the Monster Association arc, one of the most action-packed arcs in the manga, feel this boring? That's a special kind of failure. However, Episode 7 finally gave us some action. The S-Class heroes arrive at the Monster Association and start fighting. This should have been exciting. We get to see Tatsumaki, Atomic Samurai, and other top heroes show off their powers. But once again, the execution is just disappointing. Let's start with Tatsumaki versus Evil Eye. Evil Eye is a demon-level Esper monster covered in eyeballs all over his body. It's real creepy. In the manga, this fight shows why Tatsumaki is ranked 2 in the S-Class. She completely dominates Evil Eye with zero effort, crushing him with her psychic powers. In the anime, the fight lasts about 30 seconds. And those 30 seconds are filled with, you guessed it, still frames and rainbow filters. Tatsumaki barely moves. The impact of her psychic attacks just feels weak, and the whole thing ends before you even realize it started. Then we have Atomic Samurai's moment. There's a scene where he tests his sword skills against a demon-level monster called Rhino Wrestler. The other A-Class heroes try to damage Rhino Wrestler's horn, but they fail. Then Atomic Samurai steps up, barely unsheathes his blade, and cuts Rhino Wrestler into 100 pieces in an instant. It should be a jaw-dropping display of speed and precision. But in the anime, it happens so fast and with so little build-up that it loses all impact. You blink and you missed it. Because there are no dramatic camera angles and no slow-motion reveal of the cuts. I mean, nothing. Fair enough, the animation is slightly better than previous episodes, but fights still have awkward stills. And the visual effects are eye-catching but actually lack substance. The problem is clear. JC staff is trying to hide their lack of animation quality behind flashy effects. but it's not working. We can see through it. Before we continue, we need to talk about what happened behind the scenes. Season 3's director, Shinpei Nagai, became the target of intense fan backlash. And I mean intense. Fans discovered that Nagai had very little experience directing action anime. Most of his previous work was on short fan service anime with 3-minute episodes. Yeah, really. When fans found this out, they freaked out. They started blaming him for everything wrong with Season 3. The hate got so bad that Nagai deleted his social media accounts. Before he left, he posted a message saying he was being harassed and that some fans were pretending to be allies while actually trying to bait him into breaking his NDA. That's just messed up. Look, we're not saying Nagai did a perfect job. He definitely didn't. But harassing the guy to the point where he has to delete his entire online presence, that's too far. What's interesting is that legendary animators from other studios started defending One Punch Man's production team. Takashi Hashimoto, who worked on Your Name, Ghost in the Shell, and Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, spoke out. He said, "The more you bully us, the more staff will disappear. We're not doing this as volunteers. This is our job." Vincent Chansard, a One Piece animator, also defended JC staff, saying the production circumstances were a lot more complex than fans actually realized. He pointed to production committees, tight budgets, and impossible timelines as the real problems. So here's the truth. JC staff and the animators are victims of a broken system. They were given 6 to 8 months to produce a full season. That's not enough time for any studio to deliver quality work. The real villains are the executives at Bandai Namco who prioritize profits over quality. They thought fans would watch anything as long as it had the One Punch Man name attached. And technically, they were right. We are watching, but we're not happy about it. But here's the part that quietly changes everything. Almost nobody is talking about the post-credit scenes. And there's a reason for that. A lot of reactors and reviewers aren't even bothering to watch them. One frustrated fan commented, "Anyone got a list of episodes with post-credit scenes? I wasn't actually aware there were post-credit scenes on my first watch-through." So let's fix that right now and break down some of the post-credit scenes. Episode 1's post-credit scene is actually pretty funny. It shows two monsters, Gale Wind and Hellfire Flame, discussing recent events. They're wondering what happened to Speedo Sound Sonic. You see, they gave him a monster cell to recruit him into the Monster Association. But here's the hilarious part. Sonic didn't eat the monster cell raw. He cooked it first, cause apparently the dude's got standards. And because he cooked it, the cell didn't work. Instead of transforming into a powerful monster, Sonic just got diarrhea. He spent the whole time on the toilet. But Sonic thinks he's become a new person and feels lighter and stronger. But little does he know it's just because he lost 2 kilograms from being sick. It's pure One Punch Man humor turning what should be a serious transformation moment into a toilet joke. And honestly, it's one of the funniest scenes of the season. Now, episode 6's post-credit scene is actually really important. It shows the heroes being targeted by several monsters as they approach the Monster Association base. And then we see this huge foreboding cloaked monster approaching them. The character design is actually super impressive and very detailed. It creates a hint of excitement for the upcoming fights. So even though the episode itself was absolutely terrible, at least the post-credit scene gave us something to look forward to. And then we come to episode 7's post-credit scene. It shifts the focus to the villain side. The support group staying on the surface is wondering about the fate of the attack team underground. They're worried because they've lost communication with the S-Class heroes. Then the scene shifts to Gyoro. And Gyoro looks excited about the upcoming conflicts, like genuinely thrilled that the heroes walked into their trap. This scene sets up the danger and reminds us that the Monster Association has been planning this ambush for a long time. So why are fans skipping the post-credit scenes? Because if the post-credit scenes were actually good or important, wouldn't people be talking about them? The fact that they're so forgettable that even dedicated fans aren't bringing them up says a lot about the overall quality of the season. You see, when an episode is bad, you just want it to end. The last thing you want to do is sit through the credits hoping for something good. But One Punch Man has a history of hiding important plot points in post-credit scenes. Sometimes it's set up for the next episode, and sometimes, like with Sonic's diarrhea scene, it's just really funny. If you're skipping them, you're just missing context and jokes. Plus, if everyone starts watching the post-credits again, maybe JC staff will put more effort into them. But beyond the post-credit scene, there's also the Atomic Samurai hair mistake from episode 6. In one scene, if you brighten your screen, you can clearly see that Atomic Samurai's top knot is cut off. The animators literally forgot how to draw the top of his hair because the dark background camouflaged it. I mean, this is basic stuff. How does this even make it to the final broadcast? These aren't just minor errors. They're proof that this season was rushed and under-resourced. Alright, let's talk about what's coming. Because despite all the disappointment, the source material is still incredible. The Monster Association arc in the manga is peak One Punch Man. If adapted properly, this season could have been one of the greatest shonen arcs ever. Here's what we should be getting. Garu's full evolution. Garu's transformation from human to monster is the emotional core of this arc. We should have seen him fighting through near-death experiences, evolving stronger each time, and eventually becoming something that transcends both heroes and monsters. Tatsumaki versus Psycho's Orochi. This is supposed to be one of the most spectacular psychic battles in all of anime. Tatsumaki literally lifts the entire Monster Association base out of the ground and spins it like a tornado. She throws buildings, creates massive psychic barriers, and just goes all out in a way we've never seen before. Garo versus Bang. The ultimate student versus teacher fight. Bang, Garu's former master, finally confronts him in an emotional battle that shows the peak of martial arts mastery. It's supposed to crack Garu's shell, both literally and metaphorically. Flashy Flash versus Garu versus Platinum Sperm. A three-way battle featuring the fastest characters in the series. They move so fast that their movements create constellation-like patterns in the air. It's supposed to be visually stunning. And of course, Saitama versus Awakened Garo, the fight everyone's been waiting for. In the manga, this battle destroys mountains, cities, and eventually takes place on Jupiter's moon, Io. It's the best fight in the whole friggin' series. Will JC staff do it justice? Based on what we've seen so far, probably not. But we can hope. Episode 7 has been called the best episode of Season 3 so far. And technically, that's true. But that's like saying this is the least moldy bread in the trash can. It's still not great. Episode 7 features the S-Class heroes finally entering the Monster Association base and fighting some actual threats. The animation is slightly better than previous episodes. There are a few moments where characters actually move instead of sliding across the screen. Incredible. But slightly better than terrible is still not good. If they can stay with at least this level of animation, fans will watch without too many complaints. And that's where the bar is right now. We're not asking for Season 1 quality anymore. We're just asking for something watchable. And even Episode 7, the best episode, still has awkward stills, weird filters, and animation errors. It's competent at best. And for a series that started with greatness, competent feels like an insult. Here's something that perfectly shows how bad the animation is. Fans are saying the manga has more animation than the anime, and they're right. Because still images on paper feel more dynamic than moving images on screen. How's that even possible? Yusuke Murata's artwork in the manga is absolutely legendary. His panels have so much detail, motion, and impact that you can feel the punches even though nothing is actually moving. When you compare Murata's panels side by side with the anime frames, it's frankly embarrassing. The manga shows speed lines, motion blur, detailed muscle movements, and explosive impacts. The anime shows still images with some glow effects. And honestly, the only explanation is that JC staff didn't have enough time or budget to do the manga justice. And that's a tragedy and annoying. Speaking of annoyance, there's something technical that's also driving fans, including me, absolutely crazy. See, JC staff has this bizarre obsession with adding colorful lighting effects to every single action scene. If there are any explosions, you're gonna see rainbow filter. When an energy blast appears, the rainbow filter shows up again. Even when someone throws a simple punch, the rainbow filter is applied again. And fans are done with it. When you look at it, this is a stylistic choice that someone on the team keeps making, and it's ruining the immersion. Instead of making fights look cooler, it just makes them look like a unicorn vomited on the screen. It's distracting, ugly, and completely unnecessary. Madhouse, the studio behind Season 1, didn't need these kind of gimmicks. They just animated well, with clean lines, strong keyframes, and excellent timing. That's it. That's all we wanted. But instead, JC staff is trying to hide their lack of animation quality behind flashy effects that just don't work. So here's the million-dollar question. Should you keep watching One Punch Man Season 3? The answer depends on what you want from the show. If you're watching for the animation, you're gonna be disappointed. This season will never match Season 1's quality. It probably won't even match Season 2's quality. If you're watching because you love the characters and story, then maybe. The Monster Association arc has incredible story beats, character development, and emotional moments. Those things are still there, just buried under the bad animation. Garu's journey is still compelling. The interactions between S-Class heroes are still pretty entertaining. And when Saitama finally shows up, it's still pretty funny. But here's the thing, the manga exists, and the manga tells this story better. So if you want the full Monster Association experience without the disappointment, just read the manga. Murata's artwork will blow your mind, and you won't have to sit through 24 minutes of still images pretending to be an anime. So is One Punch Man Season 3 a disappointment? The key battles we waited 6 years for feel rushed, poorly animated, and lifeless. Season 1 was a miracle, a perfect storm of talented animators coming together to create something legendary. Season 2 was a noticeable step down, but still watchable. Season 3 turned into a disaster, and the sad part is, it just didn't have to be this way. So what do you think? Is Season 3 salvageable, or is it just beyond saving? Did the key battles disappoint you as much as they disappointed me? Let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you want to see a breakdown of an anime that didn't disappoint its fans, check out our video on the 16 saddest backstories that shape Demons and Slayers and Demon Slayer's Infinity Castle arc. See you next time.